let me first talk about news writing, or what is news writing. So news writing gives the reader information that will have an impact on them in some way, and it usually flows from most important to least important. So, as emphasized here, what is news? It contains information only. It does not editorialize. It does not inject personal opinion. It only contains facts, factual information. And it gives reader the information that will make an impact on them, right? And that is according to Walter Cronkite. Cronkite, that's a former CBS News anchor. So before we write our news article, it's important that we know the complete details of our story. We need to answer 5 W's and 1 H, or our WH questions. Also, it's important that we conduct interviews, we analyze documents, and observe. Other than gathering facts, or other than answering the 5 WH questions, we likewise need to gather more information by conducting interview, doing documentary analysis, and observation. Let's say, for example, and you were asked to create an article, a news article about that contest. So it's not enough for you to know if what's the contest all about. You also need to have the complete details. You need to have a quotation. And so there is a need to gather more information, and do not just rely on WH questions. Okay? You need to put more efforts in gathering data and gathering facts. Here are the most common structures in writing a news story. Tried and tested inverted pyramid. I'm sure that everyone is so familiar with inverted pyramid. The goal or purpose of a news is to convey information or to transfer knowledge as fast as you can. And the inverted pyramid starts with the most important data, the most exciting or most interesting detail of the story. It also is the most unique details. This is suited to the inverted pyramid. Special example, yung mga breaking news. May gumuhong building, of course. It is important that you need to include in the lead kung ilan ang patay, saan nangyari, kailan nangyari, ano ang dahilan ng pagguho ng building. But as the story unfolds, okay, as the story unfolds, hindi na siya ganun ka-urgent, di ba? Sometimes we are writing a news story and then sinusulatan pa rin natin ng follow-up news, parang developmental news. So, as the story unfolds, hindi na siya ganun ka-urgent, na-report na ang event, so medyo nag-iiba na tayo ng story, nag-iiba na tayo ng angle. Minsan yung focus natin is yung story ng isang survivor. Gusto nating mag-focus doon sa story ng survivor. So gagamit na tayo sa developmental story natin, gagamit na tayo ng alternative structure tulad ng nakikita ninyo. It's still a news story, pero gagamit na tayo ng alternatives. You begin probably with a quotation from a survivor and move to your knot graph. Later, I will explain to you what a knot graph is. Okay? So, yan ang pagkakaiba ng inverted pyramid at saka alternative structure. So, yung inverted pyramid, if you want to report yung mga urgent stories, and then kapag developmental story na siya, since na-report na yung event, may follow-up news lang tayo, we can now use the alternative structure. Okay. Let us discuss in depth the inverted pyramid. Ito makikita nyo ang flowchart. The inverted pyramid has the lead, the body, and ending. Ang lead natin can either be straight lead or delayed lead. Okay? Ano pagkakaiba ng straight lead or delayed lead? Sa straight lead, yung balita andun kaagad sa first paragraph ng news story. Okay? Yung delayed lead naman ay ito yung mga featurized. Okay? Mga featurized lead or quotation lead, sometimes anecdotal lead or question lead or suspension lead. Kapag straight lead ang ginamit natin, diretso ka na sa body, and then diretso ka na sa body, and then you follow it with the straight lead is being followed by by the backup. Okay? Your backup lead. Halimbawa, sinabi niyong 5 ang patay sa iba't ibang lugar, na pinangyarihan, or may 5 patay doon sa mga gumuhong building. In the second paragraph or in the backup lead, you need to mention the places and the names sa uh, you need to mention the names of the places no, na na-specify mo or naisulat mo doon sa straight lead mo. And names or other important details to further support your straight lead. Then may magandang quote to back up the lead. Ipapasok mo ang lead quote sa story. Itong karamihan kasi itong karamihan na wala sa mga campus news stories. Minsan, hindi natin nilalagyan ng quotation yung mga stories natin. We all thought na kapag nakapag-present tayo ng facts, kapag nakapag-present na tayo ng information dyan, that's enough. Actually, mas nabubuhay yung story natin if we're able to inject mga quotation from the people involved. Okay? So, after your backup lead, okay, we can insert or we can inject quotation from, probably in that case, the news na yan, sa survivor or from an officer who can provide us details of the story. Right? So we should always remind our writers, our student journalists, to include quotations sa news stories para mas may buhay ang news. Then, ito naman, yung impact, yun yung sunod ng lead quote. Example nito is yung kay Heidelin Diaz. When we write a news story about Heidelin Diaz first gold medal when she won in the Olympics, anong impact niya? We may state that Heidelin Diaz won the first gold medal in the Philippine history. Or kung yung story naman is tungkol sa student natin na nanalo sa isang contest or sa isang quiz bee perhaps, you may emphasize in the impact that this is her or his seventh or second consecutive win. Diba? Or ito yung first win for the school in the regional level. So ganyan, inilalagay natin yung impact after doon sa lead quote. Para mas may excitement yung story natin. And then after that, the attributes, yung he said, she said. Tapos yung background and elaboration of details. Now sa delayed lead naman, yun lang, pinapasukan muna natin ng isang delayed lead. It can be a quotation lead, anecdotal lead, suspension lead, bago tayo pumasok doon sa nut graph. Yung nut graph natin, ito yung pinaka-primary or pinaka-straight lead natin. Okay? Ang pinagkaiba ng straight lead or delayed lead, sa straight lead kaagad, and then papasok yung backup, yung body. Pero sa delayed lead, may quotation ka muna, for example, and then papasok dito si nut graph. This is the paragraph that contains the essential, the most exciting information about your news article. Okay, so ano yung consideration natin when we write our news point or our nut graph? In finding out your nut graph, we have to be guided by the news values. Ano yung mga news values or news point natin? I'm sure you can still recall these things. Ito yung timeliness, proximity, oddity or unusual, prominence, human interest, conflict, impact or significance ng story natin. So when we say proximity, we're talking about the location. If the event is happening close by, it will have a greater impact on your readers. Tama? So kung ang event nangyari sa loob mismo ng school natin, of course, that becomes interesting for our readers, that becomes interesting for our learners. Another news value is the timeliness. If something is happening now, it has more impact on the reader. The most recent development in a story can be used as a feature. Prominence, if the people in the story are well known, the story will have more impact on the reader. Most people are not as impacted if the story involves people they do not know. And then, conflict. Readers are interested in rivalries, arguments, fights and disagreements. Okay? Kapag mayroon tayong mga, di ba sa sports, very common ang conflict because there is rivalry. It can be, di ba, between Lasal, Ateneo. So if in basketball, there is rivalry, kaya napaka-common ng conflict na news value in sports. And then also novelty. If something is unusual, original, or unique, readers want to know what it is and why it happened. And of course, yung last, yung human interest. If the story evokes emotion in the reader, such as anger, sadness, or happiness, the reader will have a greater connection with the story and the story will have a greater impact. So itong mga news values natin, ito yung i-consider natin when we write our story, when we write our not graph, or when we write our lead. Okay? Para maging impacting, mas maging interesting yung magiging news article natin. You need to decide if which among these news values will you highlight. Is it the impact? Is it the impact? Is it the timeliness? Or is it the prominence? Ano yung mas malakas? You need to take this into account. Sa pagsusulat ng news, it is not just spotting the news story, but also determining how your lead should be written. Okay? How your lead should be written. And balikan ko lang yung inverted pyramid natin. In every paragraph you write in the news story, you need to start strong. Okay? You need to make sure that you're writing every paragraph with a strong statement. Lahat ng sentence starts with a strong point as much as you can. Okay? Let's have our first activity. The activity is this. Does the lead contain the news point? If it doesn't, select the paragraph that contains it. So, asan dito sa paragraph na to ang nagko-contain ng makalakas or pinakamalakas na news value or news point? Inilatag ang mga resolusyon kaugnay ng istriktong pagpapatupad ng safety measures sa mga laboratory at pagsisiyasat sa University Student Government Administrative Code sa Legislative Assembly Session, Pebrero 15 sa LS 219. Sa unang bahagi ng session, ipinaliwanag ni 69th Engineering LA Representative Juana de la Cruz ang resolution hinggil sa kahalagahan ng mahigpit na implementasyon ng safety procedures sa science at engineering laboratories. Paglalahad niya, kinakailangan ng dagdag na first aid kit sa mga nasabing laboratory upang maiwasan ang aksidente. Let me go back to my question lang ha. The question is, does the lead contain the news point? Hindi ko tinatanong kung nasaan ang lead. Okay? Ang tinatanong ko is, does the lead contain the news point? Ang news point actually ay makikita sa paragraph 3. Okay? Yung paragraph 3 natin, if you notice, okay, dito nakikita ang significance ng news. Okay? Dito nakikita or dito na-explain kung ano yung magiging impact ng news na to sa mga learners or sa mga readers ng news article mo. Kinakailangan ng dagdag na first aid kit sa mga nasabing laboratory upang maiwasan ang aksidente. Though I understand that in your first paragraph, it contains timeliness. Pero if you compare between timeliness and the impact or significance of the news, nandoon yung news point natin sa paragraph 3. Okay? So, if you were to advise the learner, okay, kung mag-a-advise ka sa learner para ma-revise natin ang article na to, ang news article na to, you would advise that learner to highlight, okay, to highlight paragraph 3 in the lead para mas magkaroon ng impact, okay? Mas may impact ang article natin doon sa mga magbabasa. Hindi ko po tinanong kanina kung nasaan ang lead ng article. I'm actually asking kung nasaan ang news point. Okay? Ang news value, saan makikita? Is it in paragraph 1, 2, or 3? And the answer to that is in paragraph 3. Alright? Sige, let's move on. This time, Which of these three lead is a bad lead? Ito naman. So pakipili kung asan sa tatlong lead na to ang hindi lead, hindi tamang lead. Okay, number one option, Cesar E.A. Virata, former Philippine Prime Minister and Prime Minister and College of Business Administration Dean, lectured on the growing market. 100 million Filipinos toward nation building, organized by a fraternity last September 17, 2014. Next paragraph. The CSSP Student Council was administered their oaths of office by Dean Juana de la Cruz, PhD, Dean of the College of Social Sciences and Philosophy, last June 18 in PH 109 to officially mark the beginning of the 2015-2016 Council's term. The Office of the University Registrar announced the current plans for commencement exercises of 2020 and 2021 graduates. So, pumili po tayo kung asan dyan yung masasabi nating bad lead. All three leads are bad leads. They do not contain strong news points. So let us examine the first one. Itong pinaka-first paragraph natin. In our first paragraph, nag-lecture si Cesar Virata tungkol sa the growing market. The writer even included in the lead the title of the lecture. Okay? Meron pa siyang lecture toward nation building, blah blah blah, organized by. So, ano lang natin dito is ano yung kinalaman niya sa mga magbabasa ng article na to. Even yung pagkakasulat ng lead niya is grammatically wrong din. Okay? As you can see there. So, really, the first one is a bad lead. And then second, this second paragraph natin is another calendar story, calendar news article. The writer should have interviewed the student council and discuss what usually happens in an oath taking. Okay? Parang yun dapat yung naging highlight ng news article na to para mas magkaroon siya ng impact doon sa magbabasa ng article mo. Alright? And then yung paragraph 3, lalong wala siyang news point, wala siyang news value. It does not specify the plans for the commencement exercises. It just tells you na the university registrar announced the current plans for commencement exercises for 2020 to 2021 graduates. Pero parang it does not specify the plans that this university registrar wants to have. When we write our news article, we present the what, and then dapat andun din yung so what. Okay? The what? What's that article about? Or what's that news about? Pero dapat pinapasukan natin ng so what? Ano ang kinalaman ng mga readers mo tungkol dito? Okay? Ano yung magiging impact nito sa mga readers mo? Especially that we are writing for them. We are writing for our fellow, our journalists, student journalists are writing for their fellow students. Remember, when writing a news, do not make it a calendar story. Sasabihin, the Juan de la Cruz National High School celebrated the buwan ng wika or conducted the culmination of the buwan ng wika celebration last blah blah blah. Parang sabi niya, why is this so common sa mga school papers natin na in fact parang hindi naman siya nag-create ng impact sa mga learners. Parang ang tawag niya dito, these are calendar stories. Okay? Kasi parang nagdi-discuss lang siya, sinasabi lang niya what is the event all about, pero hindi mo ini-include doon sa lead kung ano yung significance ng event para sa mga readers mo. So remember, when writing a news, do not make it a calendar story. Do not say an organization held a meeting. Okay? Instead, discuss what happened during that meeting. Did it pass a resolution or statement? Okay? If yes, what was it? Do not say, not that someone gave a speech or lecture. Okay? Hindi mo lang sila sabing, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. addressed the senior citizens of Palo Leyte. Okay? Hindi lang yan. Hindi yan yung ina-highlight natin sa speech news, di ba? But the most important or striking thing he or she said. Not that there was an accident, but how many were killed or injured in what sort of accident. Not that the school adopted a policy or decided to discipline students, but what specifically was the policy or the disciplinary action and why was it imposed? Okay? So, bigyan ng lalim yung news article na sinusulat ng mga bata. Okay? Do not, tulad yan ang nasabi ko doon sa beginning part, do not just be satisfied by the WH questions. Instead, go deeper. Okay? By gathering more facts, conducting interview, or doing documentary analysis. This is another activity. Briefly list all the problems you can spot in this lead. Okay? So ito yung please take a picture of this sample lead. Ano yung mga problemang nakikita nyo sa pagkakasulat ng lead na to? As you can see, marami din naman nag-agree that the lead is too long, it is lengthy, and as you can see, it's also cluttered. Kaya maraming issues sa inyo yung punctuation, yung comma, because the lead is really cluttered. Too wordy, too redundant, okay? It is packed with too many facts, okay, too many information, but does not tell us something important. Yun, meron sa inyong nakakapture noon. No details about the specific policy, and then titles should be written in the body, not in the lead. And it should focus on how honor students are selected based doon sa bagong DepEd order. Something that would catch the attention of the readers. Okay, yung mga expected readers natin, since mga students, why not discuss how the honor students will be selected based on this revised DepEd order. So yeah. Next, localize. Write for your audience. So it is important that you localize your audience. Write for your audience. If you are writing for your school, focus on your school. Do not mention UP if andyan naman yung school mo. Let's look at this example. With the current crackdown against drugs and in partnership with the Department of Education, the Dangerous Drugs Board held a seminar workshop on drug abuse prevention with 3 campus journalists and 1 school paper advisor representing each of the 17 divisions of NCR at the Riverview Resort and Conference Center, Calamba, Laguna, July 22, 22. And then 6 paragraphs. Meanwhile, Juana de la Cruz, editor-in-chief of this paper, were among the 3 campus journalists who represented the Division of Manila. Okay, nakita natin sa lead, na-mention niya na mayroong 3 campus journalists and 1 school paper advisor na nag-represent ng 17 divisions for NCR. And then after 6 paragraphs, ipinasok yung si Juan de la Cruz, editor-in-chief, were among the 3 campus journalists who represented the Division of Manila. Can you consider this as a localized news? Is the writer writing for the audience? Can you please share your insights po? Tama po ba yung pagkakasulat nito? Or is there a better way of presenting this news article? Tama, you would notice po that this is a faulty lead. Notice that in the lead itself, it's already bad. It mentioned 3 journalists na sumama at isa dito ay si Juan de la Cruz. Sa 3 journalists na yon, isa si Juan de la Cruz who is actually from your school. So dapat, tama yung point nila na si Juan de la Cruz dapat, or Juana de la Cruz, siya dapat yung naging highlight doon sa lead. The writer should have started with that. Kasi yan ang kilala sa school, di ba? Kilala ng mga readers mo. That is localizing. Even if you are presented with lots of facts, start the story by making it relatable. Okay? Relatable to your readers, data specific to your school, to your paper, and to the community. You should start off with that. You should start off with a data na makaka-relate yung mga readers mo. Right, next. Support the lead, do not leave it hanging. So, kanina, di ba? I say back up the lead. Always back up the lead. After writing your straight lead, you need to have the backup lead. Support the lead, like this one. Verata claimed that creating monetary union is impossible. And then you notice na yung sumunod na paragraph, there is the explanation of Verata citing Philippines is politically weak and has no foreign exchange market. This is how the lead should be supported. So nilagay natin, there is the opinion, creating an ASEAN monetary union is impossible. Former Prime Minister Cesar Virata said, September 17. So ito yung naging stand niya. Okay, ito yung naging focus ng talk niya siguro, okay, during that summit. So, hinighlight niya that ASEAN monetary union is impossible. Why did he say so? Include that, okay? Include that, or that should be highlighted in the backup lead. Ito yung sinabi niya, this is especially true of the Philippines, which is only politically weak, but which is not only politically weak, but also has no foreign exchange market. Okay? So ito yung mga reasons why he considered ASEAN monetary union as impossible. Okay? So don't leave your lead hanging. Dapat sa second paragraph kaagad, andoon yung support lead natin or yung backup lead, just like in this example. Sunod, look at this news. May nakikita ba tayong quotation dito? It contains a lot of details, pero there is no single quote. This is like a summary of the proceeding or a secretary writing down minutes, tama? Parang sinulat lang niya, nag-narrate lang siya, narration. So this is a weak story, a weak news article. It is important that we include quotes in our articles, especially if you are attending a summit or you are writing a news article based doon sa speech na binigay during the summit. Diba? Since andun ka na, you can already gather direct quotations from the speaker. Anyway, narinig mo naman yun. It's factual already. Okay? So it's important that we insert quotations in our news articles. And not this one. This has become minutes of the meeting na. Okay? Simple narration na lang siya. This is a very weak news story. I have four options here. I'd like you to choose the best quotes for your story. Okay? If you were allowed only one direct quote, which paragraph from below would it be? So just to give you parang a background, the story is about the statement issued by the journalists na nag-cover sa Malacanang during Duterte administration when then Press Secretary Martin Andanar claimed na reporters were given as much as $1,000 to cover the press conference of Davao Death Squad leader Arthur Las Cañas. Okay? So, yung news article natin tungkol doon sa statement ng press secretary ng Malacanang sa sinabi, parang reply siya doon sa sinabi ni Martin Andanar na binigyan lang daw sila ng $1,000 para i-cover yung press conference ng Davao Death Squad leader na si Arthur Las Cañas. So which among these four quotations do you think is the best quotation na gagamitin sa news article mo? Okay, so really the answer to this activity is paragraph 3 or 4. Pero if I were to choose between the two, mas pipiliin ko yung 3. Okay? Malakas yung news point ng paragraph 3 kasi andito yung parang challenge. They're trying to challenge Secretary Andanar to prove the allegations and ano yung nagiging impact niya sa kanila as members of the press. Pero tama din naman yung 4. Pero if I were to choose between the two, it's paragraph 3. Pero kung sinagot niyo is paragraph 4, tama din naman po kayo. Okay? So, at least majority of you were able to choose the right answer po for this activity. So, always remember to evaluate the information very well and write from most to least important. Okay? Kaya nga siya inverted pyramid kasi we do not consider the chronological arrangement. Instead, we actually arrange our data from the most important to the least important. Okay. This time, this is another activity. This is by order from the most to least important, excluding paragraph 1. Select what you consider to be the best sequence. Okay? What do you consider to be the best sequence? Again, exclude paragraph 1. With the opening of classes in a new mode of learning, which took place 4 weeks ago, the XYZ Journal conducted an online survey to get the opinion of students on how they feel about online learning. Okay, so we already know na ito yung una. Okay, this is the lead. Now, yung tanong sa inyo is to reorder the other 3 paragraphs. Out of the 605 students who answered the online survey, 7% are well rested and in control of themselves in this mode of learning. These students said that they still have time to spare even with the schoolwork given to them. On the other hand, 22.8% of the respondents are doing fine and can still manage to do their tasks well and submit them on time. Paragraph 4, however, the remaining 70.2% said that they felt tired, drained, and stressed for the first 2 weeks of online learning. Majority of the reasons why they felt this way are due to the excessive work given and the inevitable problems that they encountered while attending classes, such as slow internet connection and conflicts with their personal life. Now, when you rearrange these paragraphs, please disregard the how do you call this, the transition signals. Baka yan po kasi maging consideration ninyo when you arrange the article. Focus po on the ideas being presented by every paragraph and not on the transition signal. So, sabi ko nga, excluding paragraph 1 kasi na-set na natin yan that paragraph 1 is our lead. Okay, so the first or the second paragraph of this story is actually paragraph 4. Okay? Kasi as you can see, it is the highest, ito yung highest number eh. Diba when we are writing a survey news, first paragraph, isinusulat natin kung ano yung survey about, sino yung mga sinurvey, and then din yung reason why we are conducting the survey. And then the second paragraph, we should present kung ano yung pinakamataas na data. And in this case, it is in paragraph 4, the 70.2%. Tulad na nasabi ko kanina, do not focus on the transition signal. Siguro na confused kayo kasi nandito yung however, okay? Focus kayo doon sa idea. Okay, so the first or the second paragraph should be your paragraph 4. Okay, as you can see, it is the highest number. Students felt drained and stressed because this also gives you a major concern, right? Ito yung nag-establish na major concern doon sa mga learners and at the same time doon sa school administration. Then after this, and after your highest number, dapat ipapasok nyo yung extreme. Okay? Ano yung extreme niya? Highest and then yung lowest. Andito, 7% are well rested and in control of themselves in this mode of learning. Okay? These students said that they still have time to spare even with the work school given to them. Again, you have to evaluate. You have to evaluate very well the paragraphs to be able to create a good news. Okay, in writing a survey news such as this, consider emphasizing first yung dominant, okay, yung highest number and then yung extreme and then last na yung medyo nasa middle point. Okay, in this case, it is paragraph 3. So our sequence here should be paragraph 4, 2, and 3. Okay, papasok dito yung news values ninyo. How do you emphasize or how do you show, how do you structure your news article para makita or ma-highlight yung significance ng article sa mga readers? Right. Next, provide background or context in the right spot. let us look at this example. I guess you will agree with me na this lead can still be improved. Makikita nyo, there are 4 paragraphs on the CSC statement. And then after that, a background is provided about the issue is written. Example, the Central Student Council has spoken against campus sexual harassment and victim blaming following the alleged harassment case of a third-year College of Fine Arts and Design student. 4 paragraphs, and then a background information was provided by the writer. Emphasize lang that when we write our article, it's also helpful na we provide a background information po about doon sa issue or about doon sa news na sinusulat natin, just like this example that I have given you. The background information, just remember na yung background information should not be the highlight of your news article. So that's why the background information was written doon sa last part ng article. Okay? So in writing also our background information, let's not overdo it. Okay? Wag naman na yung buong paragraph mo, 2 paragraphs lang, yung tungkol sa news, and then 6 paragraphs na yung tungkol sa background information. Okay? Just like this example. The University of the Philippines Diliman has won in the Asian Pacific region of the 2013 Google Online Marketing Challenge. And then may isang paragraph sa winners, isang paragraph containing a quote from one of the winners. And then yung nangyari, karamihan na sa paragraphs niya, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 paragraphs na ang tungkol sa background information. Nawala na yung essence ng article kasi na-overdo mo yung pagsusulat ng background. Okay? Let's do background then. Siguro may mga writers tayong kulang yung nakuhang information. Ang ginawa na lang, nagsulat ng background information tungkol sa contest, tungkol sa GOMC competition. So let us please be cautious, okay, in overdoing the background information for our news article. Okay, so in writing our news, remember to use subject, verb, object as much as you can, and then strive for 1-sentence paragraphs. Use simple but concrete language, right, to be understood. We do not use highfalutin words here. We do not use complex sentence here. Okay, we use simple language, we use simple sentences to make sure that our readers are able to understand what we are writing. For print, write in the past tense for events that have happened. And then ito, said is best. Yung iba sa inyo, when writing news stories, maraming ginagamit na verbs to replace the word said. And third. So said is best, okay? Make numbers understandable, get them right, apply style rules to ensure consistency. And for direct quotes, in writing direct quotations, it should be linked to the paragraph before them. The quote should elaborate on the previous paragraph. Wala dapat disconnection from one paragraph to the next paragraph. They should be connected, okay? So just like in this example, because of an anonymous $25,000 donation, students who ride a school bus to and from school will have access to the internet during their commute starting March 1. And then the quotation, giving free Wi-Fi to our students will enable them to do research, read the news, or even watch educational videos each day. Superintendent Kelly Putman said. So as you can see, dito sa second paragraph, dito sa quotation, in explain why there is the internet or there is the free access to the internet during commute starting March 1. So my logical connection from one paragraph to the next paragraph. Your student journalist should be able to establish that. Should not repeat the transition or lead before them. Just like in this example, Principal Jeanette Rother said that several teachers have been reluctant to give assignments that require internet access. Several of our teachers have been hesitant about giving homework assignments. Anong mapapansin nyo dito? Inulit lang sa quotation yung sinabi dito sa previous paragraph. Iniba lang yung term, reluctant, hesitant. Pero actually, yung thought, pareho lang. Okay? Ay dapat yung nandito sa quotation is actually parang elaboration, explanation, bakit ganun yung, bakit reluctant yung mga teachers to give assignments. Right? It can be longer than one sentence, should have attribution after the first sentence of the quote, do not place two people's different quotes next to each other without a transition. Okay? So that's very important. And then, yung mga transitions natin, it's very, very important to hold the story together, link the paragraphs together. Can be fact in the indirect quote or a partial quote. So just like this example given to you. And then, sorry. First, we have to avoid editorializing our news article. Keep your opinion out of the story. And then use first and second person. We need to avoid that, okay? We do not use first and second person. Instead, we use third person point of view. Messy handwriting, poor grammar and spelling, too long paragraphs, okay? Lengthy paragraphs, misspelled names in the story, and trying to use all of the information in one paragraph. We need to avoid that. Okay, eliminate the word that whenever possible. Eliminate the be verb. Right, she will resign if that's your story. Instead of she will be resigning. So dapat direkta, okay? Write in future tense instead of future progressive tense. Avoid the contractions. Please remember that. Had and they, it can mean both he had and he would. Had they mean can both they had and they would. When you use a pronoun to refer to a team or a person, is it's not they. Make sure verbs or other phrases are parallel or the same in structure when they appear in your stories. Okay, yeah, use third person point of view, use active voice versus passive voice. Okay, so good news to everyone. This is the end now of my discussion. However, the bad news is, yung bad news lang is, I will now give you your session output. Okay, the instruction for your session output. So for this activity, I will let you read an account, a news account, and then applying everything that we've covered in this session, I'd like you to create your own news article. Again, I will let you read a news account, and then applying everything that we have discussed, I'd like you to create your own news article. Again, this is the news account. Mr. John, Erico, and his wife, Laura, were driving to their home in Mahuro yesterday afternoon after shopping in Uliga. Mr. and Mrs. Erico were in the front of their Toyota pickup. Their three children were traveling in the back, Paul, aged 9, Rachel, aged 7, and Miriam, aged 3. Driving past the cemetery, they met a truck traveling in the opposite direction. This was a semi-trailer belonging to Pacific Earth Moving Inc., carrying a 12-ton bulldozer. The truck was driven by Mr. Louis Killy, who comes from Talbot Atoll. The pickup ran out of control and collided head-on with the cement trailer. Police and ambulance were sent for. Mr. and Mrs. Erico and their two older children died instantly. Miriam was taken to hospital with serious injuries and died later. The pickups are right off. The cement trailer suffered only minor damage. Mr. Kelly was also taken to hospital and treated for shock, but was later allowed home. And then police have interviewed Mr. Kelly. They say they are unlikely to charge him with any offense. So based on this account, I'd like you to come up with your own news article.